Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for joining us for Leadership Talks. Our subtitle this episode is Leading from the Front Line, and we're joined with Carlos Aleman from UT's Custodial Services, third shift crew lead. And Carlos, I know this is not your normal hour for waking up, so we really appreciate you joining us at this, for you, this early hour. The way that this works, everybody, is that this is a 30-minute interview and we have it streaming live on Facebook, and we are also on going through Twitter as well this time. And we will have a lot of questions coming in and comments, which we really welcome and encourage. We don't really have time to answer or respond to the comments in the Facebook feed during the interview, but Carlos will go to that feed afterwards, or I might take a look at it if there's something directed for me, and we can respond to them afterwards. So please, all questions and comments are welcome during the interview. And the way that the interview works is we start with the standard opening of the same three questions, and we always close with the same three questions, and we'll get rolling here. Carlos, thank you so much for joining us for Leadership Talks.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thanks for the
All
opportunity.
right, good, thanks. So let's get rolling here. In 2 minutes or less, tell us your career story. How did you get to be where you are today professionally?
Well, I started at a UPS when I came back to Austin about 20, unloading trailers and then loading package cars. And then within a year, I was promoted to preload supervisor. And I was there for about 5 years. Then a friend of mine was an executive team lead at Target, and he recruited me to Target to help him with being a team leader in the back room to help him open up the Palmer store, which I believe closed about 2 years ago. And then from there, I stayed with Target, and I was also recruited to go to the Cedar Park store and open up that one in the back room. And at Target, I did backroom team lead logistics. I ended my career there in logistics, running the whole floor stocking team. And then I decided to go back to UT to finish my degree. And I took a break from Target and went to school, and then was able to. Then I found an opening there at UT as backroom crew leader, as custodial crew leader, and I've been there ever since. And of course, finished my degree. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've been at UT the longest, over 9 years now at UT, and enjoying doing what I've been doing since then. I've met a bunch of wonderful people, and UT's been a great place to work and good opportunity. Adding more leadership skills there, especially being the environment that university environment.
What is that? All right, great. So nine years, right? Is that right?
Yeah, over 9 years. Yeah, it was June was 9 years.
Started as a crew lead. Now you're still a crew lead, and you took advantage of this what was then called the staff education benefit. Is that right?
Yes, of course, yes. Yeah.
Great. All right. So you started going to school here to get your degree, and then got the job, and now 9 years later you got your what was the degree in?
In government with a minor in business.
All right, nice.
Well, business foundations. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's really impressive. Nice. All right. So what do you suspect, or there's this kind of a either or question, or do you know bothers people about your own leadership style? Or it's not quite the same question. What is your leadership weakness?
Well, I think I've never been expressed. People have had their opinions about me in the past. But I think mostly when I look at it, I think it's my calm demeanor can be kind of off-putting for some people, because if a team member comes to me with an issue with work, and they think of it as something very, hey, this is wrong and whatever, and I'm like, I kind of keep things calm, and I say, okay, well, let's talk about this, and they're not kind of reacting the way they want me to, and I think that kind of is upsetting. But as far as my weakness, I would say that my weakness is leaders that always put trust and high trust in anybody that comes in, like a new employee that comes to my team. I'm fully trust that they're an adult. They're going to do what they've been trained to do. They're going to follow the rules. And of course, in the past, that's until they lose my trust, and I see, and that happens every once in a while, where you kind of say, okay, yes, I trust you to do this, and then then you kind of find them not doing quite what they're supposed to be doing, and it's like, okay, now you have to change how you handle those people. So
Yeah, it alters the whole relationship,
yes,
doesn't it?
oh, I still keep it respectful, but of course, I just keep a closer eye.
Yeah,
on
right,
what
right,
they're
right,
doing.
right. Okay, last one for the standard opening here. What does leadership mean to you?
I look at leadership as a positive motivation to of a team to complete a common goal. That's pretty much it. How to get a team to do what needs to be done, follow the company motto, understand the company motto, and put that into the work that you're doing, and
Put it
doing
in
that in a
action.
positive way. Yes, definitely.
Mhm.
So you make it a positive work environment in doing that, so that they want to do it, not that feeling that they have to do it.
Right, and that's a tricky thing to do sometimes.
That
But
is
yeah,
that can be a
yeah.
tricky, yes.
All right, let's get into it. Just talking about sort of the frontline basics, what people are sort of coming here to hear about, and we hear a lot about frontline workers today, and I'm not sure that people always know what that means. So what does it mean when people talk about frontline workers, or what do people think they mean when they talk about frontline workers?
Well, I know now you hear about them a lot,
Mhm.
current what's going on right now, but well, frontline workers are basically uh, they're the people that are the hands-on workers in all fields. They're the ones that are like in my case at Target, now at Custodial. They're the people that were stocking the floor. In Custodial, they're the team that's cleaning everything, cleaning
Mhm.
all the buildings, and making sure everybody's healthy and clean. So that's to me, that's what frontline workers are. I mean, and most of the time it's in some positions it's a thankless job. We're out there doing it. We don't do it for thanks and appreciation. No, we just know that our job is what's important. um and they pretty much are the ones that get the physical job done in any field that you think of.
So then why right now are we hearing so much about frontline workers?
I think it's, well, like I said before, it's the pandemic.
Yeah.
Most of us, depending on the field you are, you consider, now we're considered essential.
Mhm.
Now we're frontline workers, and now we're essential workers. Now we are
Mhm.
needed. And I think it's funny, like even now, it's in custodial, we've always been doing what we do now. We keeping the buildings healthy, disinfected, and now that it's now at the forefront that, hey, it's like, yeah, we've been doing this
It's
the whole
important.
time, even even before this. But of
Yeah.
course we're doing more disinfecting than normal, and but that's the main reason why you're hearing about us a lot more, as far as, and I know you hear mostly about the nurses and the teachers, and of course the store clerks.
Mhm.
Barely hear about custodial, which is kind of upsetting, but
Yeah. Yeah, because they're just as much in
right.
danger, and they're essential to keeping our environment safe.
And they're the
And
ones that are cleaning up after the other essential
right,
workers, making sure the areas are healthy and clean.
right, so that they can be in a safe environment. So
Right,
yeah, that's
exactly.
I think that's sort of an important point for people to understand, is that in order for them to come into work and feel safe and be in a safe, clean environment, somebody has had to come into that environment
Right,
to make it that way. And in
exactly.
doing so, they're putting themselves in sometimes unsafe conditions, although of course you have ways to keep you and your crew safe, but we can talk
Of
about
course.
that in a minute as well. So tell us about the culture or the team dynamic when you are working on a front line. So just as a whole, not necessarily from a leadership perspective right now, but the culture in general of frontline workers, how is it different from executive or middle management, aside from physical labor?
Right.
Culturally, how would you say it's different?
Well, I would say, depending on the size of the group, it could feel, I mean, it does feel like a second family. I mean, you
Mhm.
have, like right now, I have 12 employees, see them Monday through Friday. And it's, I try not to get too involved personally, but we still have a respect for each other.
Mhm.
And we're all working together to get the job done day in and day out. I'm just like a family. There will be, along the way, there will be disagreements. You will have issues, or people don't get along, or they don't understand something, but we get over it, we handle it, and you just keep going, because you still have the job to do. As far as the difference between executive and middle management, I'm not totally sure because I've never been in those positions, but I would assume that, for example, an executive position, they're doing the planning for us. They're the ones that implement the plans and of course communicate it, and they need their staff to help them with that. So I'm assuming that there is still a type of team environment that could happen in those positions, and I think, of course, it's not as physical labor as frontline workers, but I mean, it's still a this type of mental labor capacity that they all have to, like, we have to get this job done. So I'm sure there's some type of the same type of family dynamic that I was talking about for frontline workers as well.
I think it's different. I mean, I've been in, working in the bar industry and other fields that like that, where it's that camaraderie is very different. And it's because of, you're all sort of in the same boat. And
Right.
sometimes you have to work together on the same challenges. And that has a way of creating a very unique, kind of bond. So I think
Right.
that it is special in that way. But there also are, I would think, unique challenges for frontline workers. Let's talk about that a little bit. What kind of unique challenges do you think frontline, again, not necessarily leadership perspective, but on a whole, what unique challenges or obstacles do frontline workers face?
Well, I think the unique challenges that we deal with is has to depend on the person, because I like working at UT. It's like there's all the support we need every level. So it has to be, I think mostly it's staying motivated, having to stay motivated, understanding and keeping in mind the mission, that the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. I know that could be the challenge as far as for frontline workers. You're doing the same job day in, day out, and after time you're just like, it's just a job and you kind of forget. So what I try to do is I try to, at least remind them, every once in a while when I kind of see that that's falling. But I think that could be the main challenge, is like staying focused. Why are you doing what you're doing? We're not doing this just for a paycheck. We're doing this for a reason. And I think that's the challenge, is trying to keep that mentality of just, like I said, the meaning of your job and what's the job that we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people. Sometimes you're so far away from the institutional mission,
Right.
for
Right. I
education.
mean, we're there, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
you're,
try.
you're
I
still
know.
doing it. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, we do have the meetings with our directors, every once in a while, and they try to remind us as a whole, and about the mission, and I try to do that on my own with my own team, just to kind of remind them too. It's like, hey, we're here to keep the place healthy and clean. That's what we're here to help keep it healthy and clean for the teaching environment for the faculty, staff, and students, and I have to just try. I don't have to. I mean, it's every once in a while when I kind of, just like I said, when I kind of see that, where that team mentality, like, okay, guys, hey, let's try to remember why we're here, and just trying to keep them on track with that.
So how does it manifest itself though? How does it appear for your team? Like when you see that you have to sort of help them with the morale, or where they sort of are having a hard time, what does it look like? Like what's happening with that team, that where you can see that you have to sort of remind them of the mission or get them to pull together again?
I think you could kind of tell, and just in the mannerisms and the attitude, and maybe sometimes maybe people are just quiet,
Mhm.
not so talkative. You kind of, and especially right now, it's very different. Right now it feels like we've been in the summer months for the past
Mhm.
since March.
Yeah.
The workload's not there. Um, so, and we're just trying to keep them motivated into I understand the work's not there, but there's still things that we got to make sure, still follow the processes that we're doing correctly. But now you'll notice with the team, as far as just the team mentality, overall team mentality, you can tell on the faces, you can tell on the mannerisms, and how they handle themselves and stuff like that. Then you can kind of say, okay, time to get everybody grounded back. And even get to the point like, hey, let me get some pizza,
Yeah.
one night, and just kind of get everybody to, hey, let's, and start talking about it, seeing how they're doing, and things
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, pizza can be a good leadership tool. So, but in
Yeah, food goes a long
particular,
way.
yeah, yeah. Now with COVID-19, there must have been some real concerns among the team. Were there conversations about, not just sort of training, but about safety and how to deal with this, like emotionally or mentally?
Right, well, in the beginning, there were issues. We had like I would say about half my team, took advantage of the leave time that they gave, the EPSL time, and they were reluctant to return. And I understand why. Because it was just in the beginning when we did shut down UT, it was my boss, my assistant, and myself were the considered essential and custodial.
Mhm.
We were the only ones there, and we'd have been there the whole time. And so yeah, they had issues with of course, mask wearing wasn't quite in the forefront in the very beginning.
Right,
So
right.
that so it was like double gloves, things like that. And
Mhm.
but as soon as they came back, yeah, you did have those issues with they, and I'm trying to enforce that, hey, if you're wearing your mask and you're staying away from people, you guys be fine. And then of course, in the beginning, trying to make sure that my team was doing those same things at home.
Right.
Please, I remind them from time to time and say, hey, please make sure you are practicing those same things at home, so you're not bringing anything to work. And of course, doing that work so you don't take anything home to your family, making sure you're washing your hands and doing all the
Mhm.
the things that they've been telling us to do. But yeah, it was a little tough there in the beginning, but now it's kind of the new normal, so
Yeah.
mask
So
wearing all the time.
was there like outward resistance, or was it just sort of begrudgingly, going to do things like wearing masks and gloves, double gloves? Were they sort of aggressively against it, or was it more about, oh, okay, and sort of begrudgingly, accepting it?
No, I wasn't forceful. I think there's a couple people like, hey, not real sure about the whole mask thing
Right.
in the beginning, but of course everybody came around shortly after that. And
Okay.
I mean, it took. I mean, I was for the mask in the beginning, but of course it took like from our manager to say like, if you at the point, because it already came down from the director
Hmm.
or from the president, was if you're not wearing your mask, you could potentially be cited for not following work rules and things like that. So it kind of took something like that. So that was like, okay, fine, we'll wear a mask. But now, but it wasn't not too much fight for having to follow those rules. Like I said, we were already wearing gloves, of course, doing our jobs and wearing our goggles and things like that. Masks just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So, and like we're all used to it, and they're not uncomfortable. I'm used
Yeah.
to it too. So no matter where I
Yeah.
go, wearing a mask. So yeah,
Yeah.
but and like I said, not too much fight. It's just some
Good.
some people have their own issues, own attitudes. But I mean, as far as they went along with it, they were fine. On my
Okay.
team,
Good.
I'm not sure how other teams went.
Right. Right. Well, I think you can answer this next one about how as a leader, we're getting sort of the leadership portion of this. Before we're just talking about, frontline workers in general, but let's talk about, from a leadership perspective. Is there anything that else that you want to add about, as a leader, how you address the, just broadly, not yet about UT, but broadly, how you address unique challenges of frontline workers? Because you've been in a leadership role in frontline in other, companies and in other roles. So what are some ways that a frontline leader addresses the unique challenges of frontline teams and workers?
Well, like I guess I mentioned that, yes, dealing with keeping them motivated. Of course,
Mhm.
you have to stay aware of the attitude, of the team attitude. You have to try to keep them on the pulse, see how the team's going, and then
How
of
do you do
course,
that?
well, like I said, it's all about just being aware of like their mannerisms, like I said, their body language and their attitudes and how they react to you, how they speak to you, how things like that. There's all kinds of body language that you can get from your
Mhm.
team to see, the whole team or in maybe an individual that's doesn't seem quite how they were before. But like I said, and to deal with that, you have to remind them, like I said, the importance of what their job is, and just to try to keep them on track, try to keep them, and try to make things fun a little bit too. Try to make these things stay so serious, even though it is serious right now. We'll still try to keep it try to keep it lighthearted, try to keep it positive and things like that.
Okay, good. So what do you want to see from a frontline team? So as a leader, when you're looking for people to either join your team, or if somebody is struggling, or they're new to the team, like how do you want them to work cohesively, or sort of have a more effective dynamic with the team? What are you looking for in a frontline worker? Like what
Well,
competencies or traits or
right.
skills?
Well, definitely, I want to see self-motivation.
Mhm.
You know, somebody who's willing to learn, drive themselves, because the way we do our job, everybody, we have the way it's set up in our custodial system is everybody has a specific job they do each night. We have somebody who, you know, for instance, light duty, they throw away the trash and they do the dusting, and then of course you have the vacuum specialist, restroom. So you have different people doing different jobs, and they're not necessarily working together, but
Right.
each person's job
Contributing to the
contributes to the
larger,
team thing. So they have to, so you're basically working on your own each night in a sense. And so you have to be able to have that self-motivation, have to know how, willing to learn these things. There's specific steps they have to follow. So they have to get that stuff down. They also I like people to, who, you know, there's situations, you know, sometimes we're short staffed and thing. People are willing to, you know, add the extra tasks, do the extra workload to make sure the job gets done. Let's say if we're shorthanded, things like that. People who are willing to, you know, not, because it's happened in the past. You get people that get kind of upset, like, "Hey, what do you mean? I want to do this, I'm gonna do that." It's like, well, we need to work. We need to, you know, there's a situation that just doesn't happen where we have a lot of people called in or something, or you know, vacations or whatnot. You know, it's let's you know, pull up a bootstraps, let's get it going. So I need people that don't fight me against that want to just, you know, hey, whatever you need me to do, let's get it done. I understand that we're as a team, let's get it done. So I just need those type of people too. So yeah, self-motivated, willing to learn, willing to do that extra work, and just people that just stay positive, you know, people that just, you know, understand that, you know, we're coming here at the end, you know, end of the evening, third shift, you know, let's just come in here, let's you know, whatever issues we're having personally, let's leave them at the door, and let's just work together and get this job done, and just try to have fun, and then call it a night, you know, tell them thank you
Yeah.
when they're leaving at the door. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably somewhat unique too. A lot of times the gratitude can come from in like middle management or executive, that gratitude for the work done comes from the outside.
mhm,
You know, that because it's something physical, they can say, you did a great job, you know, raising this amount of money, or, you know, starting this
right,
project. With frontline workers, it's all isolated. Nobody sees you guys doing your work. They just
exactly,
know that when they come in, everything looks and is clean the way it should be. And so that can be hard because you're not getting that gratitude from your clients or the people that you're, you know, providing this service for. And so I think that cohesiveness is probably particularly really important.
right. And
But you can
that's where I got, you know, most of all our positions, even at Target, it was you know, come in at 4, get the job done by 8 by the time the store opens, and then get everybody go home. So we had to like get the job done and be gone before, you know, the guests started coming in. And of course here at UT, we come in at night, we get the place clean, and we're gone at 2 a.m. And you know, and most of the staffs that come in, or the faculty staff are coming in you know, a few hours later, and then we're gone. You don't see us. So
yeah.
it's always been, you know, I've always been on that type of front line where yeah, the normal customers, the clients, they don't see what you're doing. So you know, and you're gone before you can give any thank yous. And then like I said, it's all good. You know, I'm used to it. It's no
Yeah.
big deal. So we do the
But still,
job.
it can over time.
Yeah.
It can, especially if the only time they really notice you is if something isn't exactly the way it should be, and
And
then you'll really hear about it.
that's
But
when it happens.
I think the connectedness is also a really important point that you talked about. You know, you're all contributing to some sort of like a larger project, or but having people or contributors know that their role fits into something larger. People who don't sort of see that, well, if they don't do this part of the project, then everything else kind of falls apart. And so having people on your team, and this is, I'm not just talking about frontline workers, I think people who understand how their contribution fits into a larger picture is really important, and sometimes that can be lost at really large institutions
Right.
like UT.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, in facility services, we have all kinds of frontline workers all over the place: custodial, landscaping, the department that removes the dumpsters and trash and things like that. You don't see about those people, the zone people, the maintenance people
Right.
that come around, and all those people that we all work to make sure UT's up and running every day, and you rarely see most of these people. So it's always a, but I mean, I know I'm sure all of them too. We are all motivated to do our job for UT, and that's the unique environment that UT gives. Where you feel like it's like just this big community that we're all
Yeah.
in this small city making, doing things that we have to do to keep this city running.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's your leadership philosophy for being a successful frontline leader?
Well, definitely, it starts with respect. Respect your team. In order to get respect, you have to respect your team. You have to, in all situations, even during the tough times, when you have to deliver the hard message. I mean, you have to do it with respect. Always be honest. Always be honest with your team. Be transparent. Always keep them informed on what's going on. Don't hide anything. And then, of course, be trustworthy with be sensitive with private information. So definitely want to be trustworthy with your team. So they know they can always come to you, and in private moments, there's situations they know that you're not gonna go off and start tell anybody else about what's going on. They know they can come to you. So, but definitely my main thing is always just respect. If you want to get respect, treat your team with respect in all situations, and that's pretty much the main thing that I run on.
You and I talked about this before, that trust thing. I mean, once that's broken, it's difficult to impossible to heal that.
I've seen it happen to other people in my other colleagues in my position. It's like, yeah, once you lose that trust in your team, it is very difficult to get it back. So you definitely, I mean, you walk a fine line every day. I mean, you have to be very aware of what you're doing, what you're saying, how you talk to your team, how do you deliver your message, and any one of those things that if you fall short, I mean, you lose the team, and once you lose a team, that's tough. I mean, it's what are you doing there? I mean, it's going to be hard. You don't have to be moved to a different team or something.
Right.
It's very tough to get that back.
All right, here's this one. Next question is going to be a tough one. Hopefully it won't get you into any trouble. They can come to me if they have any problems. If you were running the show, what would you do differently for frontline workers? What would you change?
I saw that question, and I think, and it's funny. The only thing I think I would change, because like I said, everything is set up correctly, the best for us. I mean, our system that we have has been planned for, that's been over a decade now. How we do our cleaning program, and so the only thing I would really change is give us an hour lunch break. I think that would be only, because right now for the team, it's what, 2 15-minute breaks, and a 30-minute lunch. And I was like, we're there at night. I'm like, hey, just let them have an hour, where they could, because I mean, we do give them an opportunity in that 30-minute lunch break, they can leave somewhere and grab food. It's like, that's not really enough time, to really leave and come back and then chow down whatever you picked up. And I was like, I think an hour lunch, it's not going to hurt. I know we'd have to come in 30 minutes earlier. We have to come in at 5 to leave at 2 for have the hour lunch. I don't know how that's physically possible with the parking and all that stuff. I mean, right now is a whole lot of parking, but I think that'd be the only thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was like, no, there's not really much I could change. I mean, like I said,
that's good though. I mean, that makes a difference. I mean, I've worked at, third shift too, and it's not the same as just, when you work in those hours where it's dark outside, it's hard to be up and alert all the time. And so having a little longer break that can probably help a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, and before we get into our standard closing here, what do you want to make sure everyone who's listening right now, who's watching right now, knows about frontline workers and leading from the front line?
Well, I just want, I mean, everybody should know that frontline workers, they're the hands-on hard workers that provide the services that drive communities. Uh, you think in any situation from like custodial from to the stores, all the people that, and of course hospitals and nurses, all these people are working to drive communities, and also that the leaders that are on these front lines, like such as myself, that we're tasked with with positively motivating these teams to follow the guidelines and to complete these goals, with motivation. So it's having to keep those people, those workers, in line, trying to stay motivated to get that job done. But that'd be the main thing, is just to know that, in a sense, without frontline workers,
It all falls apart.
it kind of falls apart. The community doesn't drive forward, and and in most cases, frontline workers aren't paid a whole lot. I mean, and they still come in and do their job day in and day out, and they're just we're a type of people that, it's just, we're hard workers and we're honest, and we love what we do. We chose to go into the field that we're in, and we're passionate about what we do, and we're all interested in making sure, we get our job done, and we go home each night knowing that we completed the job the way we were supposed to.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right, 3 more questions just to close us out here. What are you reading right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
I got it right here. So it's called The Pacific War, from Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I finished school and I said, hey, I can start reading what I want to
What you
read
want
now.
to read. I know that feeling.
So I'm a big World War II buff, and I
Uh-huh.
mostly had followed the European theater,
Uh-huh.
and from Normandy and of course
Yeah.
to finishing off everything in Berlin. And I never really followed too much about the Pacific War. Even my great grandfather, he served, and he was in the Pacific theater. He went through the islands. He was in the Navy, and worked and was behind the scenes. He was doing any fighting. But so this is a book. It goes Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima. So it's kind of keep me get
Sounds
to
like
learn.
that must be a
First
big
book to
book.
learn that piece.
All right, good. That sounds great. Interesting. What was the hardest thing you have had to do as a leader?
I think I thought back, and I think the main thing was at Target, and it was having to let go of the seasonal workers after the holiday season was over. We and I was the one that had to choose and had to go up and tell the people, thank you very much for your work these past couple months, but we gotta let you go. That was tough. Normally, I'm not the one who lets people go. I just record the performance, and
Right.
usually my boss and people above will make that decision on how their performance and on my evaluations. But yeah, that would probably be the toughest thing, because especially when they were like in the middle of working, and that's what I was doing. Like they were in the middle of doing their job, and I had to go up to them and say, "Okay, sorry, I have to."
And right after the holiday.
Yeah, right after the holiday. So to me, that was my toughest.
That's a tough one. Okay, last question. Give me 2 key pieces of leadership advice.
I would say confidence. Be confident in yourself and your abilities, and like I said before, be honest. Be respectful. That's the main thing. Just be confident in yourself and be respectful to your team, and then everything should fall into place. I know we have all kinds of leadership books and leadership how-tos and whatnot, and of course we have a leadership development class here at Facility Services, but it all starts with how you carry yourself, and how you treat your team, and those are the main things.
Excellent. Carlos Aleman, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a great interview, and I really appreciate you taking time, getting up especially early for you. And thank you for everything that you do. Thank you to your team and all the frontline workers out there for everything that you do. If you weren't doing it, everything else would fall apart. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you too. You have a good morning and stay safe.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks,
right,
everybody.
bye-bye.